Hi, let's play a game of Jenga. Imagine this to be the health of our banking system. As you can see, it's quite sturdy. No gaps in there. And then Raghuram Rajan submits a note to the Parliament's Estimates Committee. You would have probably heard about it by now. It's the same on which everyone's claiming victory. The BJP, the Congress, Ravi Shastri, Donald Trump. Yeah, all of them just love winning, even when they aren't. The note's about NPAs or non-performing assets, and it deals with them through 9 questions. Most important being, why in the world do we have an NPA problem? Back to the Jenga then. The period was 2006 to 2008, when the growth was great and Bob was your uncle. It's also when the banks got greedy and started giving away money to anyone who'll take it. Sometimes by literally waving their checkbooks, asking people to name the amount. I think I want to take out one for that. Then comes the global financial crisis. India caught the bug as well. Domestic demand slowed. Growth projections, well, they remained on the Excel sheets they were created on. Now the government comes in. Remember the coal scam? Or the policy paralysis? Yeah, they didn't help much either. Even in the NDA government, the decision making hasn't picked up the requisite pace till date. I think I'm going to take a couple out for that. One for BJP and one for the Congress. Projects got delayed and delayed, often becoming zombie projects. And that strangely is a technical term. It was in everyone's best interest to extend the loans, something called as evergreening. The promoter, the one who took the loan, didn't need to bring in more equity then. The bankers didn't want to show an NPA on their balance sheets, and the government didn't want to infuse any more money as capital. Everyone just hoping that it will all get sorted out by itself at a later date, chanting all is well, all is well, all is well, when it simply wasn't. Worse, the bankers didn't even bother to do basic due diligence. They just expected a couple of big players to do it for them. Resultantly, overbilling was rarely checked. Indeed, banks ended up pumping in more money to already failing projects, a thing they would have known if they would have bothered to simply look. And something which goes without saying, far too many loans were given to well-connected people. In some cases, a single CEO did most of the damage. As self-help speakers tell you, never discount the power of an individual, especially one who is absolutely moronic and at the top. I'm going to take a one from the top here. If this is already sounding a bit like a dystopian nightmare to you, well, hold your horses. For not a single high-profile fraudster was brought to book. Investigative agencies often blamed and harassed the bankers instead. So next time, the bankers were obviously slow to call them. Even when cases went all the way to the Prime Minister's office, no action was taken. Na khaunga, na khane dunga. Goddamn right. Since the bankers were slow to call the bad loan a bad loan, when they finally did do it, they didn't recover much. For instance, in 2014, they made only 13% recovery on their loans, at which point one just exasperates and says, "Rehne do beta, tumse na ho paega." This is where the judiciary shows up. The law says dispose such cases in 6 months, except only 1/4 of them are done in a year, meaning 4 years wait to clear the backlog of 6 months. And since every year more than 1.5 times new cases come in, this backlog is not coming down anytime soon. Further, by then the promoters have already learned to game the system. Hallelujah. I know this sounds strange, but promoters actually gained more power than the bankers on their own loans because of their fear of calling a loan an NPA. They even got different banks to play against each other. One bank's NPA client became another's new customer. Ain't that something? RBI supposedly tried to get the house in order. They introduced databases, coordinated the bankers, introduced asset quality reviews, encouraged out-of-court bankruptcy resolutions. But you see, this is like a really bad Royal Rumble match. The referee only has an illusion of control. It's no wonder nearly every RBI governor wanted out of it, crying, I know I have my signatures on the currency note, but can you please not let me deal with them bankers? They are absolutely mental. All these efforts did impact a couple of things though. One, the public sector banks got shit scared. Look at these graphs. The orange line shows the credit growth of the new private sector banks, and the blue line shows the credit growth of the public sector banks. Yes, the politically correct term is risk averse, but look at this and tell me, doesn't this look like being shit scared to you? And this is the industry and MSMEs we are talking about. The only area where they did match up were the supposedly non-risky loans of personal, housing and agriculture. The last one because of farmers' loan waivers, which is another shit show. Bankers love it because they know the government will reimburse them of all the money. Not a single paisa actually goes to the farmers. And the ones who earlier did used to pay back now see no merit in clearing out their loans. For sooner or later, the government will waive it off. As the credit culture bleeds to a slow, painful death. The second impact of RBI's efforts was that everyone ganged up against them. It's ludicrous, yes, but apparently some accuse the RBI of slowing the economy down, which simply doesn't make any sense. The only things the RBI can be accused of is not being quick enough and strict enough. For everything else, hindsight is 2020. So where do we go from here? More professional banking for one. And how about actually having an accountable CEO for a change? Months have gone by with banks left leaderless. We need better project evaluation, risk monitoring systems, and accountability. We need talent even if it faces resistance. The banks need to step up, the government needs to step up, the judiciary needs to step up. We need to be able to avoid the next crisis, not just the last one. We need a lot of things and we need them fast. This now is the health of the banking system. And as per Raghuram Rajan's note, there sure seems to be a lot of holes in there. He says this requires deep surgery to be robust. But yeah, let's keep blaming each other, no? It's so much easier. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.